G'day Space Cowboys and Cowgirls, welcome back. So before we get into it, the Daily Dance is live, so the daily newsletter, breaking down, it's completely free, breaking down the latest in science and business, coming to your email every single day. Like I said, completely free, so come sign up in the description. It's basically very short to read, so you can become smarter in a flash, and it's just a lot of fun. Also, VPN, the alpha is still coming, we're working on it, hopefully we can get it out to you guys this week, which again is free. So anyway, let's get into this video. So I just filmed the video and I'm coming back to warn you guys, there's a lot more speculation in this video than normal. Normally I go into the science, hardcore science, but this video there's a lot of wild and fun speculation. So just keep that in mind. It's very fun. I love this sort of stuff, but a lot of this stuff we're going to talk about is like completely just wild speculation. So strap yourselves in. Why alien life would be our doom. The great filter.
Imagine NASA announced today that they found aliens. Bacteria on Mars, weird alien fish in the oceans of Europa, and also ancient alien ruins on Titan. Wouldn't that be great? Well, no. It would be horrible news. Devastating even. It could mean that the end of humanity is almost certain and that it might be coming soon.
I gotta completely disagree. If we found that life arose in multiple places in the same star system, do you know what that means? Do you know? It means life is extremely common in the universe. Way more common than we realized. So I think that's actually pretty good news.
Why? Why would the most exciting discovery of our lifetime be bad? Let us imagine the development of life from its inception to us today as a flight of stairs. The first step is dead chemistry that needs to assemble itself into self-replicating patterns, stable and resilient, but also able to change and evolve. The second step is for our early life to become more complex, able to build more complicated structures, and use the available energy much more efficiently. On the next step, these cells combine to become multicellular beings, enabling unbelievable variety and further complexity. The step above sees the species evolve big brains, enabling the use of tools, culture, and shared knowledge, which creates...
So I don't know if he's going to talk about it, but the step from single cellular, which is prokaryotic, to eukaryotic multicellular organisms is huge, and it took a long time. It was not an easy step. At least it looks like that from, history of life on Earth, our sample size of 1. It looks like it took a long time for that to happen. Then once that happened, everything just went boom, and things popped up all over the place. But it took billions of years just to go from single cell organism to multicellular. So that seems to be a big filter. And then also they're playing with tools. So we know humans have been playing with tools, humanoid things, because we think modern humans have been around for like 100,000 to 200,000 years. But we have recently found some tools as old as 500,000 years. But that could be, a bunch of smart monkeys.
Even higher complexity. The species can now become the dominant life form on its planet and change it according to
I said the wrong thing. Axes we've found. We've been paying on caves for like 40,000 years though. And writing about 5 to 10,000.
Its needs. First, shy attempts to leave its planet are happening. This is where we are now. It's in the nature of life as we know it to reach out, to cover every niche it can. And since planets have a limited carrying capacity and lifespan, if a species wants to survive, it will look for more places to spread to. So the steps above the current ones seem logical. Colonize your own solar system.
I just want to point out here, there's a hot debate on the internet at the moment. Elon Musk is talking about the collapse of civilization coming in the way of underpopulation. There's going to be a population collapse where, we have this aging population where everyone, gets really old and there's no one left to fill the working jobs, right? But what he's specifically referring to is like America or even just first world countries. He does talk about China as well. But he's completely just ignoring the rest of the world. There is actually an overpopulation problem with a lot of countries in this world. And Elon doesn't talk about this because he has, I love Elon. I'm the biggest Elon fan. But there's a lot that he says, and he words it very strategically and only gives some of his thoughts because, he is the head of these businesses, and he does have this agenda to push them, which is good because his businesses are actually like pushing humanity forward. So I'm all for that, and I think he's doing the right thing. But he never talks about, say, Africa, or countries in third world countries where there is a serious overpopulation problem, and Earth as a whole is actually facing an overpopulation crisis still. So yes, modern civilization is facing a population collapse problem, but if that was to happen, humans won't go extinct. That just means civilization as we know it currently will change and go backwards a long way. But overpopulation is a way more significant problem, because if you overpopulate the world too much, that's when you cause runaway effects, like runaway greenhouse effects. But the real danger is overpopulation, because if you have too many humans, it's what we call a carrying capacity of Earth, which is just, an estimate, like how many humans could fit on Earth, and, with our resources, could we sustain, live like this for a while, right? And it's actually not as high as people think. Some have estimated to be like 1 billion. So, and you probably know we're at about 7 billion. So this is a problem. We're running out of resources. So we're really going to rely on science to come up with new ways of producing energy. And we do have a lot of these already. It's just, the people in charge are politicians, and they don't actually understand anything or how the world works. And that's kind of a problem, guys. We really need to start putting people who are scientifically literate in charge, and who are actually for humanity and not just for their own pockets, because things are not going to go very well in the next 50 to 100 years if we don't start changing things right now. And civilization, as we currently know it, I would predict in the next 100 years would be significantly different. Very far. We're going to go backwards if we don't start changing our ways. Anyway.
Spread further to reach other stars. To the possible final step, becoming a galaxy-wide civilization. It's very likely that this is a universal principle for civilizations, no matter where they're from. If a species is competitive and driven enough to take control over its planet, they'll probably not stop there.
Though, like what he said, how it's probably a universal thing. That's not, I would say probably as well, but at the same time, you've got to acknowledge our ignorance here, which is we have a sample size of 1. We really don't know what kinds of life are out there, or what forms and shapes it can take. We have no idea. We need to always keep this in mind, because we're just projecting our nature onto nature, and that hasn't worked very well for us in the past.
We know that there are up to 500 billion planets in the Milky Way, at least 10 billion Earth-like planets. Many have been around billions of years longer than Earth. But we're observing 0 galactic civilizations. We should be able to see something, but there's nothing.
How do you know? We don't know what to look for. There could be signals we're receiving right now, even in radio, that we don't realize are alien signals.
Seems to be empty and dead. This means something is preventing living things from climbing the staircase beyond the step we're on right now.
It's kind of strange to me that everyone takes this opinion that, we're probably the only advanced civilization in the galaxy. Maybe there's a couple others. Our galaxy is like 100,000 light years across, right? And check out this image. This image shows the extent of our little radio bubble. This is the extent our radio signals have been broadcast to the universe. And that's just our little galaxy. If our oceans represented every place and wavelength, that we could look for intelligent signals, you're literally talking about a bathtub worth of, that's the extent to which we've looked. That's an accurate representation too. So, yeah, to say we've actually looked, I don't think we can really have much of a conversation about why there's no aliens around. We've barely looked. What I think might be the case is that these civilizations, advanced ones, if they're alive in our galaxy, they could be sending signals that only could be understood by more advanced civilizations than us, because we're still a very primitive technological civilization. Extremely primitive. It's just been born. Technological age has just been born, right? So maybe they know, or they just think that, allowing more primitive technological species to realize that they're not alone, there's lots of people around, maybe that's a bad thing and a detrimental thing, because I'm sure they have their own science and they've done experiments maybe with this stuff, and they've realized, okay, we have to sort of let them develop a bit more before we give them, some info. Like if we were just given some really advanced technology by an alien species without developing the means of producing it ourselves, that could be really bad. Because we didn't develop we didn't go through the struggles. We didn't develop the necessary stuff in our brains or get smart enough to even understand this stuff. That could be a big problem if we're playing with stuff we can't understand. And you could argue we're kind of there with what machine learning is currently doing. So it's kind of a black box still. So, but anyway, that's enough of that. Let's keep watching the video.
Makes becoming a galactic civilization extremely hard, maybe impossible. This is the Great Filter.
It is absolutely not impossible. I almost guarantee it. And I am almost certain of nothing. I kind of am. Like, I advocate uncertainty in everything. Absolutely everything. But I would almost say, to say things are impossible, you can almost be certain that, nothing is actually impossible. Why? Look at what's going on. Like, you're living in an impossible universe. Is there a God? Is there no God? Both impossible answers. What does that mean? It means you're an impossibility. It means the impossible is possible. Like, can you see how paradoxical all this stuff is? So be very careful of what you think is impossible.
Challenge or danger so hard to overcome that it eliminates almost every species that encounters it. There are two scenarios. One means we are incredibly special and lucky. The other one means we are doomed and practically already dead. It depends on where the filter is on our staircase. Behind or ahead of us. Scenario 1. The filter is behind us. We are the first. If the filter is behind...
Definitely many filters, by the way. I think you'll talk about this, but there's not just one big filter. There's many, and there's probably many we don't even know about.
Behind us, that means that one of the steps we passed is almost impossible to take. Which step could it be? Is life itself extremely rare? It's very hard to make predictions about how likely it is for life to emerge from dead things. There is no consensus. Some scientists think it develops everywhere where the conditions are right. Others think that Earth might be the only living place in the universe. Another candidate...
Absurd. I think we're going to find life is everywhere. Wherever you find H2O, life as we know it. There'll be other kinds of life, for sure. To not understand that, I think it shows your kind of ignorance to, astrophysics, physics, and science. Yes, there might be very few advanced life forms around. That is completely possible. And we could be alone in that regard in our galaxy, in the universe? Absolutely not. It's just not a chance. The universe could be infinite. You know what that means? That means there's other yous out there. Anyway, let's keep watching.
Is the step of complex animal cells. A very specific thing happened on this step, and as far as we know, it happened exactly once. A primitive hunter cell swallowed another cell, but instead of devouring it, the two cells formed a union. The bigger cell provided shelter, took care of interacting with the environment and providing resources, while the smaller one used its new home and free stuff to focus on providing a lot of extra. With the abundant energy, the host cell could grow more than before and build new and expensive things to improve itself, while the guest became the powerhouse of the cell. These cells make up every animal on the planet. Maybe there are billions of bacteria-covered planets in the Milky Way, but not a single one, apart from us, has achieved our level of complexity or intelligence. We humans feel very smart and sophisticated with our crossword puzzles and romantic novels, but a big brain is, first and foremost, a very expensive evolutionary investment. They are fragile. They don't help in a fistfight with a bear. They cost enormous amounts of energy. And despite them, it took modern humans 200,000 years to get from sharp sticks to civilization. Being smart does not mean you get to win automatically. Maybe intelligence is just not so great, and we're lucky that it worked out for us. Scenario 2. The filter is ahead of us. Plenty of others died already. A great filter before us
He's talking about, yeah, the title of the video, The Great Filter.
is orders of magnitude more dangerous than anything we encountered so far. Even if a major disaster killed most of us or threw us back thousands of years, we would survive and recover. And if we can recover, even if it takes 1 million years, then it's not a great filter, but just a roadblock to an eventual galactic civilization. On universal timescales, even millions of years are just the blink of an eye. If a great filter really lies before us, it has to be so dangerous, so purely devastating and powerful that it has destroyed most, if not all, advanced civilizations in our galaxy over billions of years. A really daunting and depressing hypothesis is that once a species takes control over its planet, it's already on the path to self-destruction. Technology is a good way to achieve that. It needs to be something that's so obvious that virtually everybody discovers it, and so dangerous that its discovery leads almost universally to an existential disaster. A large-scale nuclear war. Nanotechnology that gets out of control.
Again, we're just projecting our nature onto nature. We're assuming that, like, brains evolved with our human emotions everywhere. Because if they didn't, well then how do you know, like, they might not fight like we do over our territorial, and, you know, the way we are is a product of our emotions. And these emotions in humans and everything else on Earth seem to have evolved. And what that means is they were naturally selected. All of our emotions have some kind of, there's a reason for it existing. It helps us survive in some way. If you've never realized this is a great thing to think about. Like things like depression, these mental illnesses, there could be reasons why they kick in, why they happen. They could be defense mechanisms to get us to go do something, you know, like, I guess, maybe I shouldn't talk, maybe we should stick with the physics. But yeah, I like to think about all this stuff a lot. Anyway, let's keep going.
Genetic engineering of the perfect superbug. An experiment that lights the whole atmosphere on fire. It might be a super intelligent AI that accidentally or purposely destroys its creators. Or things that we can't even see coming right now. Or it's way simpler. Species competitive enough to take over their planet necessarily destroy it while competing with each other for resources. Maybe there are runaway chain reactions in every ecosystem that once set in motion are not fixable. And so once
I do wonder as well, like, with what's going on, does it mean that AI, true artificial intelligence, true general artificial intelligence, is not possible? Because, you know, surely there was another advanced civilization at some point in our galaxy's history. It's very old, our galaxy, nearly as old as the universe itself, okay? So life has probably arisen in our galaxy, but advanced life, who knows? But if it has, and gotten to the point where it can nearly develop its, you know, other sentience in this artificial way, like, it should be everywhere, because that should have survived. You know, because you can send artificial intelligence to the stars. It doesn't care. It doesn't need to eat. It doesn't need to sleep. All of these things that inhibit us and keep us stuck here on our planet, you know, wouldn't be a problem for AI. But then again, as well, like, if there is true AI roaming around, which is now essentially sentient, right? Maybe it doesn't have our emotions. There was no need to, you know, build that in. So it doesn't really care for helping things. It doesn't actually think like we do whatsoever, maybe. Because, you know, we place a lot of novelty on consciousness, when really, you know, that's kind of an unfounded thing to do. It could be special. I hope it is. But it might not. It really might not. So these AIs, if they're out there, they might not care, and they could be communicating in some very advanced way with each other. Because you might say, like, well, why don't we see their communications? How do you know they don't have a far superior way of communicating that we don't even know about yet? Maybe they're communicating via dark matter. You ever thought about that? Maybe dark matter is these, like, you know, it's a product of these alien species, maybe. I mean, I highly doubt that, because, like, dark matter seems to come from very early in the universe. But here's a wild speculative thought for you. Maybe dark matter has all come from a very, very, very early, ancient, incredibly intelligent species that very early in the universe developed all of this tech in vast quantities, and that's what dark matter is. And they've populated because, early in the universe, it was much denser and closer together, and they were able to get around, to that small pocket of that small universe. That's a complicated discussion because it wouldn't actually be small, but so, maybe they're able to, occupy all the galaxies, and they built all these structures, and that's what dark matter is, because we find dark matter in dark matter halos around all galaxies. We see its gravitational influence. What if it's actually advanced alien tech, or just aliens in general? That could be a fun, story to write. I think that would be a pretty cool sci-fi story. I've never seen anything like that. So, anyway, let's keep going. I enjoy thinking about these wild things, but, I don't want to bore you guys.
Civilization is powerful enough to change the composition of its atmosphere. They make their planet uninhabitable.
I just had the other thought as well, maybe dark energy is an artificial thing used by these aliens to grow the universe, make it expand, because maybe it was too small, maybe they populated it. But all of this stuff is absolutely probably completely wrong. I'm just, fantasizing in my head because it's fun. But you never know. And, you really have to remember, it's usually when we make big breakthroughs and big paradigm shifts in our understanding, they come from wild ideas.
100% of the time. Let's hope that that's not the case. If the filter is ahead of us, our odds are really bad. What we can hope for. This is why finding life beyond Earth would be horrible. The more common life is in the universe, and the more advanced and complex it is, the more likely it becomes that a filter is in front of us. Bacteria would be bad, small animals would be worse, intelligent life would be alarming. Ruins of ancient alien civilizations would be horrible. The best case...
I had another fun thought. I'm loving this video, but, I was just realizing from the last video we talked about, with black holes, we don't know how they got so big so quickly early in the universe. Maybe it's because they're being artificially grown. Maybe there's some advanced civilization growing these supermassive black holes to ultramassive levels so they can harvest more energy, and they're doing it very deliberately and by some exotic means. And that's why, our models just can't understand how these things are getting so big so quickly. Wild thought for you. And then there's a whole side to it which we haven't even talked about, is would a super advanced species, whatever it is, you can imagine near term we shed our biological meat shacks and and put our consciousness or whatever brains in silicon robotic cybernetic forms, right? And then beyond that, if you go even further, if you've read, say, 2001: A Space Odyssey by Arthur C. Clarke, the next and maybe even final step would be, to have complete control over matter and energy to the point where you can just, occupy a ball of energy or something. And, at that point, it's you're essentially like a god, right? What else is a sentient ball of energy that can do what it wants with matter and energy? I think that's what you would call it, a god. And then, you could speculate wildly and have fun with that idea with what I was just saying about all these unexplained things. It could be where the universe itself comes from, who knows, what's going on. We really have no idea, and the answers are going to be absolutely wild. And so when people get so offended by fun, wild speculation, these people are, they haven't got much going on up here, because the answers are going to be wild, absolutely wild. So you should buckle up, enjoy the wild ride that you're on and have fun speculating, because we have no idea. We're not even close to being able to understand the big questions.
Case scenario for us right now is that Mars is sterile, that Europa's oceans are devoid of life, and the vast arms of the Milky Way harbor only empty oceans hugging dead continents. That there are billions of empty planets waiting to be discovered and to be filled up with life. Billions of new homes waiting for us to finally arrive.
Highly doubt it. Very, very highly doubt it.
How likely is it that we'll find life outside of Earth that is similar to us? Well, that depends on how many planets there are out there in their star's Goldilocks zone, the area around a star where water can be liquid. Because stars come in all sizes and configurations, this zone is different for every star system and requires a little bit of physics to figure out.
Filter is probably when the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell is said for the last time. Yeah, it is quite a simplification of what's going on, isn't it? Thanks once again for the highly anticipated monthly morning existential mind blow by Jesus Christ. Classic. Third option, there isn't a filter and all the galaxy level civilizations avoid us and hide because we are that planet. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're everywhere and they are hiding from us. Great video. I loved this one. So much more speculation, wild speculation in this one than, science. More than typical. So make sure to subscribe. Come back if you want to see more. And go sign up for the Daily Dance. And I'll catch you guys next time.